All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Binge Guide, the next show where we bring you the next series you absolutely have to add to your watch list.
That's right, and this week we're diving deep into one that has us really intrigued.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Victoria.
And Victoria, this one's a doozy. I mean, we're talking true crime, family secrets, and a whole lot of psychological twists and turns.
Oh, definitely. This is the kind of show that stays with you long after the credits roll, and it's all based on a true story.
We are talking about Paramount Plus's Happy Face.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, just going through the trailers and articles, I'm already hooked.
Me too. It's got all the elements of a gripping thriller, but with this added layer of real-life horror that just makes it all the more unsettling.
So for our listeners who maybe haven't heard about this one yet, Happy Face centers around the story of Melissa Moore,
Whose father, just to kind of rip the Band-Aid off right away, is Keith Hunter Jesperson.
a.k.a. the Happy Face Killer.
Yeah, unfortunately, that nickname is not just a catchy title. It's rooted in something truly disturbing.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Jesperson earned that moniker because he would actually draw smiley faces on the letters he sent to the police and the media.
It's creepy, to say the least. And what makes it even more chilling is that the show draws not just from, the general facts of the case, but also from Melissa Moore's own accounts.
So they're really going deep into her perspective.
Right. They're drawing from her 2009 autobiography, Shattered Silence, and her 2018 podcast, also called Happy Face. So you're getting her story straight from the source.
Wow, so it's like a double dose of firsthand insight into this really messed up family history.
Yeah, and you know what they say, truth is often stranger than fiction, and in this case, it's definitely a lot darker.
Okay, so let's break down the plot of this series a little bit. So we've got Melissa, played by Annaleigh Ashford, and she's trying to rebuild her life, escape the shadow of her father's crimes.
But then her father, who's played by Dennis Quaid, he tries to re-enter her life from prison.
And I'm guessing that does not go smoothly.
Not at all. And on top of that, there's this twist where it turns out an innocent man may be on death row for one of Jesperson's murders.
Hold on, wait, so she's not only dealing with her father trying to worm his way back in, but she might also hold the key to saving an innocent man's life.
Exactly. Talk about an impossible situation. I mean, does she stay silent, protect her father, or does she speak out and risk, everything to do the right thing?
That's a moral dilemma of epic proportions.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the legal stuff either, right?
Yeah.
Because from what I've seen in the trailers, Melissa is also struggling with the impact her father's actions have had on his victims' families.
Definitely. It's like this whole other layer of guilt and responsibility she's grappling with, and there's this really powerful scene where she actually reveals her identity as the Happy Face Killer's daughter on a live TV show.
And how does that connect to the actual case?
Well, in real life, Jesperson actually called into that same TV show and demanded to only speak to his daughter. So it's like they're mirroring that real life event in the series.
Wow, that's crazy. Talk about adding fuel to the fire.
Oh, and there's this one line from the trailer that just sent chills down my spine. Jesperson says to Melissa, "You're just like your old man."
And she fires back with, "I'm not like you at all." I mean, you can just feel the tension, the years of pain and resentment packed into those few words.
Yeah, it's intense, and it just gives you a taste of the emotional roller coaster this show is going to take us on.
All right, so we've got this crazy, captivating story, but let's talk about the people who are actually bringing it to life. Because the casting for this show is top-notch.
Oh, absolutely. Starting with Dennis Quaid as Keith Hunter Jesperson. I mean, come on, this guy can play anything. And he just brings this intensity, and I don't know, there's something so unsettling yet charismatic about his performances.
He's perfect for this role.
Totally. And Annaleigh Ashford as Melissa, she is just brilliant. She's got this incredible range. She can be vulnerable. She can be strong. And I can just see her perfectly portraying that internal conflict Melissa must be going through.
And, let's not forget the casting directors behind the scenes, Cara Ide and Chris Wozniacki of Chris and Cara Casting. They have a fantastic track record. I mean, Animal Control, Joyride, Wonder, they know how to assemble a stellar cast.
Oh yeah, they're some of the best in the business. And with their involvement, we're in for some incredible performances from the entire cast.
So Victoria, all this sounds amazing. When can we actually start watching this psychological thriller?
Well, mark your calendars, because Happy Face premieres on Paramount Plus on March 20th in the US and March 21st in the UK.
Okay, not too far off. And wait, are they releasing the whole season at once?
Nope, but they're starting us off with a bang. They're dropping 2 episodes right off the bat.
A double episode premiere. Oh, I like that. Get us hooked right from the start.
Exactly. And then new episodes will be released every Friday, so plenty to keep us on the edge of our seats.
So if you're looking for a new show to obsess over, Happy Face might just be the one. It's got true crime, family drama, moral dilemmas, and a stellar cast. What more could you ask for?
It's definitely going on my watch list. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait to dive in.
Welcome back to Binge Guide the Next Show.
Where we're getting even deeper into the twisted world of Happy Face.
And trying to figure out how we'd handle the situation Melissa finds herself in.
Yeah, before the break we asked, what would you do if a parent you disowned tried to, well, come back into your life under these kinds of circumstances?
It's heavy stuff, for sure. I don't think there are any easy answers.
Definitely not. And that's what makes Happy Face so much more than your typical true crime story. It makes you really examine your own beliefs, your own moral compass.
Absolutely. And I think the casting is just perfect for a story like this. I mean, Dennis Quaid as the Happy Face killer himself. That's just brilliant.
Yeah, he's got that ability to play characters who are both, charming and creepy at the same time. Perfect for a guy like Keith Jesperson.
Exactly. 1 minute, he's all smiles, and the next, he's giving you the chills. And then Annaleigh Ashford as Melissa, she's fantastic too. I just love her work. She brings such a raw honesty to her roles.
And, she has to with this one, right? I mean, imagine the emotional weight of playing a character like Melissa, a daughter grappling with her father's horrific crimes.
And she's got to make some tough choices too, right? There's that whole thing with the potentially innocent man on death row. It's like she's caught between a rock and a hard place.
Talk about pressure. I mean, on the one hand, it's her father. On the other, it's an innocent man's life. How do you even begin to weigh those options?
I know, right? It's a situation that's just like ripped straight from a nightmare. And it really makes you think about the rippling effects of these crimes. It's not just about the victims themselves.
It's the families, it's the community, it's everyone who's touched by this kind of violence.
And in a way, it's Melissa, too. She's a victim of her father's actions, even if she wasn't directly harmed by them. Her whole life has been overshadowed by this darkness.
And that scene, where she reveals her identity on TV, man, that must have been tough to film. I mean, she's basically laying bare her deepest, darkest secret for the whole world to see.
It's brave, to step out of the shadows like that and reclaim her narrative.
It's interesting because Jesperson himself tried to control the narrative, right? He called into that same TV show demanding to speak to Melissa. It's almost like he was trying to manipulate the media, use it to his advantage.
Yeah, it's chilling how some criminals, especially serial killers, seem to crave that attention. It's like they want to be infamous, even if it's for all the wrong reasons.
Makes you think about the role of media in these cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they simply reporting the news, or are they giving these criminals exactly what they want, a platform?
It's a tough question. And I think the show does a good job of exploring those gray areas, the ethical dilemmas that come with covering these kinds of stories.
Yeah, it's not black and white. There are a lot of nuances. And speaking of nuances, let's talk about those casting directors again for a second. Annaleigh and Chris Wisniewski. They have such a knack for finding the perfect actors for these roles.
Yeah, it's not just about getting big names. It's about finding actors who can truly embody these characters, bring them to life in a way that feels authentic and, well, real.
And they've done that again with Happy Face, haven't they? I mean, even the supporting cast is incredible.
Oh, yeah. Everyone from James Walk and Tamara Tomakili to Keela Ain and Benjamin Mackey. It's a solid ensemble.
So to anyone listening who might still be on the fence about this one, let me just say the acting is phenomenal. The story is gripping and based on a true case, and the whole series is just visually stunning. The cinematography is top-notch.
Oh, yeah. The trailers alone gave me chills. The way they capture the atmosphere, the tension, it's masterful.
So don't forget, Happy Face premieres on Paramount Plus, March 20th in the US, March 21st in the UK. And to kick things off, they're releasing 2 episodes back-to-back.
Yeah, they're not messing around. They want to hook us right from the start.
So Victoria, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, is there anything that's really stood out to you about this case, about this story? Anything that's really stuck with you?
I think what gets me the most is the idea of the victims' families. We talk about the killer, we talk about Melissa, but it's easy to forget about the people whose lives were shattered by these crimes. They're the ones who have to live with the pain, the loss, the unanswered questions. Yeah,
that's true. And I think Happy Face seems to acknowledge that. From what I've seen, Melissa has to confront that reality too. She has to face the victims' families. She has to see the devastation her father caused.
It adds another layer of complexity to her journey, doesn't it? Because how do you even begin to apologize for something like that? How do you even begin to make amends for the actions of someone else, especially when that someone is your own father?
It's a tough question, and it makes me think about the nature of forgiveness. is it even possible in a situation like this?
I don't know, but I think Happy Face might give us some insights, some perspectives on that very question.
So I guess we'll have to keep watching to find out.
Exactly. And there's still so much more to unpack, like the psychology of Keith Hunter Jesperson himself, what made him tick, what drove him to commit these horrific acts.
And what about the impact on Melissa? How did growing up with a father like that shape her worldview, her relationships, her entire life?
So many questions. But luckily, we have one more part of our deep dive to explore all of that and more. So stick around for part 3, where we'll delve even deeper into the twisted mind of the Happy Face killer and the enduring impact of his crimes.
And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into Happy Face.
Where we're going to try and, I don't know, get inside the mind of Keith Hunter Jesperson a little bit, the Happy Face killer.
As much as we can, right?
Yeah.
Because to really understand the impact of his crimes, you have to try to understand what drove him to commit them in the first place.
Right. And it's easy to just label him as a monster and, kind of wash our hands of it. But I think it's more helpful and honestly probably more disturbing to actually consider what factors might have, contributed to him becoming who he was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to be clear. We are in no way condoning his actions or we're trying to excuse them, but exploring the why, I think, can be illuminating.
For sure. And, we know he had a really rough childhood.
Yeah, a lot of abuse, bullying, just a lot of negativity surrounding him from a very young age.
And we know those early experiences can just have a profound impact on someone's development. And for someone like Jesperson, who, maybe already had some pre-existing tendencies toward violence, it's like those wounds never really had a chance to heal.
And then you layer on top of that his career as a long-haul trucker, all that isolation, being away from any kind of support system. That can't be good for anyone's mental state.
It's like this perfect storm brewing, You've got the childhood trauma, the isolation, and then potentially those pre-existing tendencies, and it all just kind of culminates in this explosion of violence.
Yeah, and it's like he almost reveled in it, with those smiley faces he drew. It was like a taunt, a way to control the narrative.
Oh, absolutely. It was his signature, his brand, He wanted to be recognized, feared, remembered, even if it was for the most horrific reasons.
But we can't lose sight of the real victims here, right? The people whose lives were taken, the families who were left behind to pick up the pieces.
Right. Their pain is real. It's lasting. And I think the series is going to do a good job of portraying that. I mean, we've seen those glimpses in the trailers, the victims' families, the anger, the grief, just this desperate need for answers.
And imagine what Melissa must be going through, knowing that her own father caused all this suffering. That's got to weigh on her.
Oh, absolutely. It's like this whole other layer of guilt and responsibility.
It's like, how do you even process something like that, right? How do you come to terms with the fact that your own flesh and blood is capable of such monstrous acts?
And it raises all these questions, doesn't it? About nature versus nurture. Like, was he born evil or was he made that way?
It's a question that's been debated for centuries. And there's no easy answer. I think it's probably a combination of both, right? Some people might be predisposed to certain behaviors, but their environment, their experiences, the way they're treated, all of that can play a huge role in shaping who they become.
It makes you realize that even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect. You never know what someone else is going through, and a little bit of compassion can go a long way.
And in the midst of all this darkness, you have Melissa trying to find her own way, trying to make sense of it all.
And I think that's one of the most powerful parts of this story, right? It's not just about the crimes themselves, it's about the impact, the aftermath, and the possibility of healing.
The fact that she was able to find some kind of peace, some kind of redemption after everything she's been through, it's inspiring, really.
Yeah, it gives you hope. Hope that even in the darkest of times, we have the capacity for growth and change.
So to bring it all back to Happy Face, we have a series that explores all of these themes, all these complexities. A daughter facing the sins of her father, victims' families seeking justice and closure, and this overarching question of how we as humans respond to evil.
And it's all done with this incredible cast, amazing production value, and a story that's just impossible to look away from.
So if you haven't already added it to your watch list, what are you waiting for? Happy Face premieres on Paramount Plus, March 20th in the US, March 21st in the UK.
And they're kicking things off with a double episode premiere.
So you can really immerse yourself in this world right from the start.
And don't forget, new episodes every Friday after that.
So there you have it, folks. Another deep dive in the books.
And another show you absolutely need to check out.
We'll be back next week with another series that's caught our eye. Until then, Happy binging, everyone.